AP Kog'Maw is now one of the most OP bot lane champs you can play, while there's a tank build that's making top lane Fiddlesticks super strong. This and much more in today's video as we provide you guys with 10 of the best new builds that are on the rise for solo queue. And did you know mastering your champion will boost your win rate by a massive 9% on average? That's why at SkillCapped we offer Smurf commentaries. Simply select the champion you want to master and get guides from challenger experts teaching how to play your champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. You're even guaranteed to have all your questions answered by that very same challenger expert. After that, take one of our 5 brand new courses that teach you the secrets to carrying as a top laner, jungler, mid laner, AD carry, and support. It doesn't stop there though. We have new Season 14 courses on macro, wave control, trading, setting and hotkeys, CSing, vision, mechanics, low elo mistakes, the list goes on. The best part? You can try all of this out completely risk-free, since if you don't rank up while actively using SkillCapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below right now to get the rank you've always dreamed of. Over the past patch, especially in Korea, there's a new hybrid setup being played on Aatrox that is winning the most for any core build. The rush item is Spear of Shojin, and Aatrox players rushing Shojin are winning at around a 53% clip, as opposed to Eclipse users who are at 51%. Now, the second item is super spicy, as it's not Sundered Sky or Black Cleaver, as you are building Voltaic Cyclo Sword. This 2-item core is extremely snowbally, as you've got a ton of ability haste coming out of Shojin, while Voltaic adds a jolt of burst damage and some nice sticking power from its passive. The skirmish strength when you complete the build is super nuts and allows for Aatrox to take over in the side lane. Burst potential is also quite high with the build, as Voltaic and Serylda's Grudge allow for you to delete squishies. Rune Page to go along with this build is standard stuff, as it's Conqueror followed by Triumph, Haste, and Last Stand, while Second Wind and Revitalize are for secondaries. One of the most underrated champions in the entire game right now due to this super strong build is top lane Fiddlesticks. If you're someone who likes those off-meta champs, then this build is definitely for you. The rush item is nothing too crazy, as you're going for Liandry's, but from then on out, things get interesting. Liandry's is your only damage item as you look to build into Unending Despair and Abyssal Mask. You can interchange the timing of when you pick up Unending Despair or Abyssal Mask depending on which resist you need the most early on. So the really obnoxious part about the setup is just how much healing Fiddle will be getting in a drawn out skirmish. Not only will Fiddle be healing with his W, but you'll be getting the heal proc from Unending Despair to survive for even longer. So you're much more of an annoying disruptor in fights instead of a champ who's looking to one-shot the enemy backline. This is definitely a more consistent way to play Fiddle because you're not entirely reliant on landing a multi-man R to be successful. The Keystone Rune finding the most success with this build is Comet, followed by Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch, while Bone Plating and Revitalize are for secondaries. A new build that has been seeing a bit of play on Kindred lately that's performing incredibly well for solo queue consists of rushing Ghostblade. In 14.21, Ghostblade started getting picked a lot more on Kindred and was winning the most for any rush item. The complete core build that you should try out for this patch revolves around Ghostblade into the Collector second and Infinity Edge third. Now, it's key that you run the correct rune page when playing this build, as it ties everything together. Hail of Blades is the Keystone Rune, as you're getting no attack speed at all from the build, but a ton of raw damage. All this raw damage combined with the 3 quick autos from Hail of Blades will allow for Kindred to deal a ton of upfront burst and proc her E very fast. There's a new rush item that has been getting played a lot more on Volibear jungle recently, and it's been winning the most for any rush. Instead of building Sundered Sky or Rod of Ages, Volley players are finding the most amount of success by rushing Cosmic Drive. Although it may seem like a bit of a weird item to run on Volley, it basically is just a better version of Rod of Ages for him. Cosmic Drive provides 25 ability haste along with some nice durability and movement speed. The haste and movement speed are what set the item apart from Rod of Ages, as Rod does offer a bit more durability, but the consistent skirmish power of Volley is just so much higher with Cosmic Drive. E being on a much shorter cooldown allows for Volley to be way more durable in an extended fight, while the damage that he's able to output is not that much lower than what you'd have with Rod of Ages. It's a heavy movement speed focused 2-item core, as you will want to be grabbing Deadman's Plate as the second purchase, and then Spirit Visage slots in third. Grab Press the Attack for the Keystone Rune with Triumph, Haste, and Last Stand, while Celerity and Water Walking are the best secondaries. A new build for mid lane Echo that has been seeing some play over in Korea is completely different than his more popular builds. It's a hybrid Echo build, pretty similar to what we've been seeing on Galio mid, which consists of a Hollow Radiance rush into Riftmaker second. Third item that has been seeing the most play with this build is Heartsteel. So there are definitive pros and cons to going for a build like this on Echo, but if picked in the correct spots, it can be really strong. Obviously, you're going to be a lot more tanky, so if you're playing against an enemy comp who's pretty tanky themselves, running this build and being more of a front line for your team can work really well. For example, let's say you're laning against Galio, and then the enemy team also has a tank top and tank jungle. There's no way you're going to be super effective playing full AP into that, especially if the game goes late and they stack a ton of magic magic resist, so going for tank can give much more value to your team. If you're up against a pretty heavy AP enemy comp, let's say a Fizz mid, Evelynn jungle, and Teemo top, that's where this build gains a ton of value as well. The Hollow Radiance Rush will do a great job at nullifying the burst strength of those champs and allow you to fight for lane priority much easier. If you're playing against a comp who does have majority squishy targets though, then just going for full AP Echo is still definitely the way to go. The rune page to go along with this tank build will be Grasp, followed by Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Overgrowth, while Free Boots and Biscuits are for secondaries. So Corki mid lane has made its way back into meta as a result of his 14.21 buffs. However, many players are actually taking the wrong rune page on him. Although Fleet was the most common keystone on Corki for a long time, an alternative keystone rune has been outperforming. Conqueror is what has started seeing a lot more play, and although it's still less popular than Fleet, most high elo Corkis are running Conqueror, and it's winning a whole 4% more than Fleet, which is just insane. Just 25% of Corki players have actually been taking advantage of Conqueror though throughout 14.21, so we hope that ratio goes up here for 14.22. Since the last time Corki was actually meta for solo queue, Fleet has been nerfed a bunch of times, so it's just not that optimal for him anymore, and the reason to why Conqueror is just so heavily outperforming. As for the build that you should be running on your Corki mid, it consists of Trinity Force Rush into Manamune second and Rapid Fire Cannon third. For the first time all season long, Aphelios is actually not a bottom percentile ADC for solo queue, and there's even a new build that has been providing him with an added boost in power. It's the exact same core build that we featured for Kindred earlier on in the video, consisting of the Ghostblade Rush into the Collector second. So just a very heavy upfront damage focused build with lots of AD and lethality. The Ghostblade Spike should feel even better for Aphelios in 14.22 because the item will now have 4% movement speed in exchange for losing 5 AD. This trade-off is likely a net win for Aphelios because not only is Ghostblade gaining gold efficiency from the change, but for an ADC like Aphelios who lacks a gap closer, adding movement speed in exchange for a bit less damage is a nice trade-off. So that your upfront burst power is even stronger, it's press the attack that you will be taking for the Keystone rune. Bot lane Kog'Maw has suddenly turned into one of the most versatile picks in the game because there's now an AP build that you can run to the same amount of success as AD. In 14.21, we saw a huge spike in play of AP on bot lane Kog. In the past, whenever AP has been played on Kog, it was rarely the most popular build for the champ, but right now AP is being played at a higher rate than AD. The rush item is going to be Luden's Companion. You grab Archangel's second and then Horizon Focus third. The Ludens with Archangel's core is very important for AP Kog because a lot of the strength of the champ comes from being able to spam out his R. Whenever you use your R with Kog'Maw, the mana cost in the following R that you use increases, so stacking mana with Ludens and Archangels is key. Horizon Focus to round out the core is just really nice on Kog because you get incredible value out of the passive. For the rune setup, you will want to be taking Comet for the Keystone rune as it has really nice synergy with Kog'Maw due to the fact that his E slows, and therefore whenever you use your E, unless the enemy has a dash, Comet is guaranteed to proc. Make sure that you run the correct skill order when playing AP Kog, as it's E max first, into Q second, and then W is last. You can also teleport for your secondary summoner spell so that you can base for an early tier without losing anything in lane and just reliably get that stacking. It's usually harder to find new OP builds for the support role, but in 14.22 we've got a really strong but underrated one for Sona. Instead of running the standard Echoes of Helia Rush, an item that has started to see more play and that is winning more than any other rush option is Winter's Approach. We saw Winter's Approach make its way onto Veigar as a reliable rush item, and it's looking like we're seeing the same with Sona. The huge benefit to running Winter's Approach on Sona is that it makes her way more durable. As long as Sona can stay alive in an extended skirmish, then her utility that she can provide for her team is incredible, and Winter's Approach helps to enable that. Of course, the durability from the item is amazing, but all the mana is perfect for Sona as well, as she can spam out her heals without having to worry about running low on mana. The second item in the build will be Moonstone, and then Bloodsong is what you want to take for your item upgrade. Bloodsong is going to work really nice with this Winter's Approach rush because the added tankiness will allow for Sona to be weaving in auto attacks more consistently. For the rune page, look to grab Aerie with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm, while Conditioning and Revitalize are the best secondaries. With Swain buffed for this patch, he'll be in a much better spot, and there's this very underrated build that you'll want to try. Instead of building Swain full out offensive with Rylai's and Liandry's, look to play him a bit more tanky by swapping out Liandry's for Unending Despair. Unending Despair as a core pickup on Swain support has been finding way more success than standard AP. With Unending Despair, you just become this very durable drain tank in teamfights and are way more difficult to take down. Since Swain wants to be in the thick of things with his R running, the heal that you get from Unending Despair will be really strong. The more enemies that are within 650 units of you, the stronger the heal from Unending Despair will be, and Swain can take really good advantage of this by slowing enemies with Rylai's and making sure they don't escape his vicinity. The item upgrade is also going to be different when playing this build, as you want to side with Solstice Slay instead of Realm Spike. spike. Definitely take Conqueror for the Keystone Rune when playing this build instead of Electrocute, as you'll get amazing value out of Conqueror in the mid game when you are team fighting with this more durable setup. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So there you have it everyone, 10 new OP builds that you can look to play for patch 14.22. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.